Good afternoon. Welcome back to our book study of The Magic of Thinking Big. Today we're going to be talking about chapter 6. This has not been my favorite chapter in this book so far.
I didn't love it.
Yeah, I had some challenges relating to it, but I did. There were okay. Let's just start. And I was okay with the beginning part of the chapter. How you think determines how you act. How you act in turn determines how others react to you. And that, thinking makes it so, if you think confident, etc., you'll behave confidently. If you think you deserve respect, you'll behave in a way that earns respect, will cause people to treat you with respect. I was all good with all of that. You?
Yes. And then he started to date himself, which
Very much.
happens because it's 70 years old. So
Yes, the book is old. It's definitely dated. Um, I can relate to the, you know, dress well, because you feel better about yourself when you're dressed well, when you're neat, you're clean, your hair's combed, your teeth are brushed, etc. Because it made me relate back to my upbringing, that my parents were like that. It's like you needed to be dressed a certain way if we were going somewhere. I remember one time being told to change clothes because we were going to go to McDonald's. And I remember thinking, we're going to McDonald's. But anyway, so I definitely have some very deeply ingrained habits with regard to, like, I don't like to be underdressed for a restaurant,
mhm.
etc. Um,
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what they were teaching
I
at the
tend to
time.
be overdressed at almost any occasion. But there is definitely some thought to it. You know, my son went to private school, so 4 days a week they wore khakis and their polo shirt with the logo. But on chapel days, which was 1 day a week, that was white Oxfords and their tie.
Mhm.
And I remember them being like, why? But for the church, like that was for the school, because it was a Christian school, that was church day, and you need to dress more appropriately in a church. You know,
Right,
of course, now there's
right.
lots of mega churches where wear whatever. And I am really a believer in like come as you are as opposed to don't go at all. But you will always find me in a dress at church.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with the come as you are rather than not at all, but especially the young teenage girls, when they show up looking like they're on their way to the beach, just it's still not appropriate.
It's just
So,
not appropriate, period.
right, it's just not appropriate for the environment.
Mhm,
Um, and so that's part of what was coming up for me
mhm.
as what reading this was. Sometimes I feel like I'm very judgmental about how people dress, and I used to try to tell this to students, people judge you by how you look. Looks matter. Well, I want to be myself. And that was one issue I had with this chapter was, the line between addressing how certain people expect you to be dressed versus some genuine authenticity, which I think is a big change in society since the time this book was written. I think we
Right.
have a broader spectrum of what's considered appropriate dress.
Right. I feel like when this was written was the time when all men wore suits
Yes,
to all the jobs. Whereas now there are certain jobs, if you walked in a suit, you would 100% not fit in.
correct.
You know, like my husband's always been in auto parts sales, and I found at an antique shop this very cool picture. Um, and it's all the men that work in the, you know, it's like such and such brothers auto part sales or whatever, and it's all the salesmen in the front and they're all in their hats and their suits and whatever, but my husband will tell you now, like, if he walked in to a body shop in a sport coat, they wouldn't really, you have to, he doesn't, he doesn't really go into body shops anymore, but he used to, and there was this fine line of like plain jeans, polo shirt, because you wanted to fit in. You also didn't want to show up grubby, but you
Right.
have to kind of meet where your people are.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Does that make
that.
sense? Kind of meet where your
Yes,
people are.
yes,
And if you're
very
trying
much
to
so.
show up in a leadership position, I think it does look good to be maybe dressed just a little bit better. I think can bring some level of respect.
Mhm.
Not in all cases, but sometimes, like, he would not have looked like a very successful auto parts salesman if he showed up with holes in his jeans and a oil on his t-shirt and his hair a
Right.
mess. They'd be like,
Right,
should we really trust you? I mean, yeah, you look like us, but also, like, you know what I mean?
right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
and I,
that's what this section of the book is about, is dressing in a way that's going to encourage people to respect you. But it's still that thinking from inside that needs to reflect on the outside.
Mhm.
Think you're important, dress like you're important, and people will treat you with respect. So I get that. And like he says here, it costs so little to be neat. At least be neat and clean.
Yes.
Maybe you can't afford the clothes that for the environment or whatever, but at least be neat and clean.
Mhm.
So but it says also your physical exterior affects your mental interior. How you look on the outside affects how you think and feel on the inside. I think I just said something along those lines.
Mhm.
So and this just reminded me of several instances from my past where there was one time at the school where I was teaching, they were having I forget what the occasion was, but there was a dress up day. And so all the teachers in our department decided that we were going to dress alike because it was twin day that particular time. We decided we were all going to dress alike, and that dressing alike also included wearing jeans, even though it wasn't a Friday. So we squeezed ourselves out a borrowed jeans day. Okay. And one of the assistant principals was clear that she did not appreciate that we had done that. And the surface thinking was, what difference does it make? And we wear jeans on Fridays. What difference does it make if we wear them on Wednesday? Well, I noticed with myself over the course of the day, I was being more casual about everything that day than if I were quote unquote professionally dressed. So it's accurate.
There is something to it.
Yeah, definitely so. Um, and there were other occasions, but I don't need to hammer all of that. And what he says on page 129, and we know this, is that this is near the bottom. Your appearance is the first basis for evaluation other people have. And the
Mhm.
fact that that first impression outlives the time it took to make it.
Yeah.
And it does.
And it does. I'm known for saying to my husband, do you think they knew where they were going when they got dressed this morning? I'm pretty,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, do you think they
Yeah.
knew? I don't want to like assume they knew where
Yeah.
they were going when they got dressed, but
Yeah.
Their mindset might be off.
yes.
So several pages on the dress well, etc. He even talked about investing in better quality clothing and you won't have to replace them as often. All
And you won't have to
useful
buy as much.
information. Right. Useful information. It goes into the next section then. Think your work is important.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me.
Yeah. and how that ties to your performance level in the job. On page 133, he says, we found an amazingly close correlation between a person's job respect and his job performance.
Mhm. I believe that. I've seen that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I made a note there that also works both ways, that if you're receiving respect from your superiors, you're more likely to do a better job than if you're not getting respect from your superiors. So it's a two-way street, in my opinion, because I transferred from a campus where the teachers were treated like misbehaving children who needed to be controlled rather than treated like professionals who knew what they were doing and needed to be given the autonomy to do it. And transferred to a campus where teachers were treated like professionals, and it was huge.
Yeah.
I found myself wanting to do more instead of doing the absolute minimum. So I have lived that. Anyway, moving on. Christy, what was it that made this chapter not your favorite?
Um, I, it's hard to say. Let me, there were good things in it.
Mhm.
I think, so maybe part of it was, I'm also reading at the same time Worthy. And the chapter I just read was about the difference between self-confidence and self-worth. And it just
Okay.
kind of, when he talks here, that listened to it while I was driving Sophia to Nashville last night. So I'm not underlined like I normally am. But it just, again, felt like, I do like the self-talk. I'm a big fan of the affirmations, right? I like, on 144, where he says, how am I thinking? Checklist. I think maybe relating it to our careers and what we do, because many times I've asked myself, and I don't remember where I learned it from, but, what would a diamond do? Are you working like a diamond would? And I think if you erased important person on most of these questions, like would an important person worry about this, and scratch that out and wrote diamond, a lot of this, can become, like I'm 100% certain that, like on number 9, my job, how does an important person describe his job to others? I feel very certain that a jewel describes their job to others much different than a silver or gold ambassador.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And yet it's the
1000%,
same,
yes.
it's the same job, but it's the perception we hold based on how many points we have. Does that make sense?
It's also a different job in some different ways.
Yeah, and so I think if what I would really pull from this chapter is that there at the end, and really replacing important person with diamond or jewel, because I know I've shared with you guys before, like when we go to, I don't even remember when it was said to me, I think at jewel training, when you first become a jewel and you go to jewel training at corporate, one of the things they share with you is, we do expect you to dress better. We do expect you to hold just at Emerald Extravaganza. It's different because it's all jewels. And I've told you guys before, it's like a plethora of drunk white women. Like it's the funniest thing ever. But at convention, where 95% of the people would love to be a jewel, we are asked to, hey, hold yourself and
Part.
present yourself in a way that other people, because they do look up to you, even though you may not have a clue who they are, they look at you in a different light, you know. And I'm not saying anybody looks at me like that, but I do. For years, like my first couple years at convention, Deanna was like, how do you know this stuff? Because I'd be like, oh, there's Michelle Thomas. Oh, there's Sonia Dudley. Oh, there's, you know, and I would name all the jewels. And she was like, how do you know that? Because Deanna could care less about training. She's like, if I need to know something, you'll teach me. But I was always on the YouTube trainings, always on, you know, so I knew who everybody was. And I would just watch them. They had no clue who I was, you know, and so
Professional on a different level.
yeah, it does.
And
And so, and I do think,
subconscious, but
and
it's very
especially
real.
when we're at conventions where we're on the floor and other attendees are up, like the past few times when we were in Vegas, you know, and we're on the floor, like when everybody's on the floor, you can't see except for if you got there early and the jewels are coming in to their seats in the front. And so, you know, and I think it's important at the end of the day to not look or act like an asshole, right? Like,
Right.
as simple as that. Like, be respectful. Like, I remember one time Deanna getting on to me because we had been in line forever. You know, the props that you can take pictures with? And there's lines for them. And we had been in line forever. And like, we were up next and these girls just walked in from the side. And, you know, when we were walking up there and started, and I was like, excuse me, you know, was saying something, and Deanna's like, you shouldn't have done that. And I was like, they shouldn't have cut line. And she was like, but you're an emerald and you got it. And I was like, yeah, but they were jerks, you know. And so
That's
sometimes
interesting.
They were the
Light
ones-
and not light.
you will
You know,
see
and
she and I
being
every so
disrespectful.
often. Yeah,
You know,
she
an
and I every so
administrator
often.
has to be polite.
Well, and what I told Deanna, I said, maybe I'm standing up for all the people behind us who wouldn't have the nerve. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but there are times when I have to check myself because I'm like, oh, okay, you know.
Would Alex have done that? Alex wouldn't have done that. And if he would have done it, he would have had a much better attitude about it.
Yeah, I don't know. But so there is, if you think to yourself, how would, you know, if you start to go to a networking thing or whatever, don't think of it as, I'm this gold ambassador who's been stuck gold for 8 years and I don't know how to work the business and blah, blah, blah. Because if that's your thought process, when you're going to describe yourself and your job, that will come across.
Yeah.
But if it's really like, hey, I'm bringing to the table a plan B for your income. Obviously, you guys know how to hustle. You know, you're here to grow your income. And, you know, I've told you guys a couple of years ago when I was always doing network events, but I would say, hey, you can't be your best at whatever it is your business is, what you're doing, if you don't have energy, if you're not sleeping good, if your stomach hurts, then you're not good on your sales call. I can help you with that.
Right.
You know, so when you go in like, hey, I'm bringing you something awesome. And, you know, I've even had.
Carry yourself that way.
Yes. But ask yourself, hey, when I'm describing my job, like, how would a diamond, you know, describe her job? And I promise you, we're all crazy excited. I mean, you guys know how little I've done, especially in the last 3 months. I haven't recruited a person in 3 months. I like literally all I done for the last 3 months is this call with you guys. Nothing else at all. And I still ended over 900 points. Right. So, but it's because I worked so hard before and now, and I know, okay, time to kick it in gear again. Now the wedding's over, everything's over. But being able to describe something like that, like what an amazing job I have. What an amazing job I have. And that is something you guys can offer anybody.
Yeah.
And it's something you have, you know, your points are just different and your points don't define you.
Right. That's the whole thing. Plexus cannot define who we are. We came in as who we are, and we need to stay that way. And if people don't accept who we are, we're in the wrong camp. There's always
Right.
another tribe we can go to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, look important. It helps you think important. Like walk around. You would be amazed at how many friends I have that are diamonds that will see me like at Emerald Extravaganza or whatever, or really at convention. That's the only time our tags are different colors, but they'll be like, I thought you were a diamond. I'm like, no, I just act like it. Like, no,
I
no.
love that remark.
I just act like it. So many diamonds think I'm a diamond. I mean, Jenna Hatilla reached out to me recently and was like, what rank are you? Because I did some call for her or whatever. And I was like, Emerald. And she goes, why did I always think you were diamond? And I'm like, because I'm amazing. I don't know. I don't know. But it's
As a
something about
man
the way.
in his
Yeah.
heart, so
Yeah.
is he.
It's just my points haven't caught up with me yet. So start
Right.
carrying yourself in rooms like,
See, now you're making me rethink my whole wardrobe to pack for convention next week because I was
good.
I was going for comfy.
You can still look different with comfy.
listen, it's 4 days of your life. Look amazing.
Well, I was going to look amazing. It was just going to be comfy amazing.
Well, go buy something different that makes your heart sing.
Is it like, what do you mean by comfy?
Um, like white jeans,
Okay.
and this super cute pair of red tennies that was going to go with everything I'm bringing.
Perfect. Do you have like blouses instead of t-shirts?
Let me think.
Because that's the difference. Like I've worn
It is
white
the
jeans
difference.
before.
Yeah.
Last year I had to wear tennis shoes with everything because remember I had only had surgery like 2 weeks before. And if I
Yeah.
fell, it would be a disaster. So I wore tennis shoes with everything last year and I kind of loved it. So I probably will wear cute tennies this year with my dresses. And I've worn white jeans to convention, but always like with a blouse. I'm more in dresses a lot just because
Mhm.
I own hundreds and I love them. Like it's just,
I'm
you know, I
wearing
went to my,
I'm bringing one, and I'm bringing dressy blouses.
yeah,
Let's,
wear whatever you want, but feel comfortable. Like wear something where people are wondering, who is that?
mhm.
Yes.
Do I know her? Have I seen her on a training yet? Who is that?
Well, I'm trying to think now what I do have planned. Um,
You have
like,
4 days to get it together.
right? Just this pair of white jeans that has these little cherries all over.
Cute.
And then, yes, a solid colored t-shirt, but then a red denim jacket over.
That sounds cute. That sounds really cute.
And then a different pair of white jeans that has like this blue floral pattern and that a blouse. Yes. I can't
Yeah.
wear the red pennies with that though. So I'll have to come up with something else, but yeah, it's still not slumming around the house comfy,
Right.
but mostly I'm catering to my feet. I want to wear tennies.
Do it. Actually, there was
Lots
just,
of cute things out there.
yeah, I
Mhm.
don't remember who it was. One of the diamonds just posted it yesterday. Is it still fashionable to wear cute tennis shoes with dresses? And every jewel that commented was like, yes.
I saw that and I
Yes.
don't remember who it
I don't
was either.
remember who it was, but yes.
You can go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and get some stuff and decorate them, if nothing else, if you want to be different.
Well, and now I'm thinking I need to rethink my outfit for the Barbie party too.
What is it?
what I had in mind was, again, solid white jeans this time. And I bought this t-shirt. I know I have a lot of white jeans. I ordered a t-shirt on Amazon that's got like a Malibu Barbie logo on it. And I've got some orange sandals, heeled sandals that I got 2 years ago for the 70s party.
That sounds super fun. That sounds super fun.
So maybe I'll stick with it. It says I just saw today though that the party's going to be outdoors.
It's going to be
So-
102.
Hot tamales.
Even if
So-
it's dry, it is still hot.
Yeah.
I might swap that for white jean shorts instead of the jeans.
Yeah.
But it said, what did it say? Just a Barbie beach party or something. I don't remember. It's like, okay, whatever. All right. So kind of off on a tangent, but anyway, back to the book. The section I disliked was it was in the think your work is important section. And I found myself saying, well, this doesn't really apply. This doesn't really apply. And then I told myself, okay, so reframe it so that it does apply. And I asked myself, how would I apply this to network marketing? Okay. I did like the part, it's at the top of page 135. He said, think instead, I am important. I do have what it takes. I am a first-class performer. My work is important. Okay.
Yes.
It is, what we do is important. Okay. I just needed to look at what was being said here differently. So this is the section where he went into, well, he was talking about the group A versus group B.
Right.
And so I wrote down, as your own boss. Wow, and I shifted gears in the middle of the sentence, and now I'm not sure what I meant to say. As your own boss, how can you be a group A employee? Become that group A employee that you yourself as a boss would look at as a group A employee. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
I gotta go. And I'll
Okay,
see you
I
on
know.
tomorrow at 12.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Gina.
All right. Look forward to seeing y'all.
Absolutely.
And this was in the section where then he broke down 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, the different jobs.
Yeah, the secretary who, when the executive is out of office, spends her time reading magazines, or the secretary who uses time to, and I underline, do the many little things to accomplish more.
Yeah.
And in the margin next to that, I wrote systems.
Yeah.
That's having systems, implementing the stuff so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel all the time. Just keep going
Yeah.
around the wheel. Number 2, I underlined where it says views criticism constructively and tries to do higher quality work. And I wrote in the margin, be coachable.
I like that. Yeah.
With number 3, the 2 different salesmen, the one who says, oh, I just do what they tell me to do. They told me to come see if you needed anything, versus the salesman who says, Mr. Brown, I'm here to help you. I said, that's customer service.
Right.
That's
For
customer
sure.
service.
Yeah.
And we want to over deliver in terms of customer service. And then the foreman who says to an employee, to tell you the truth, I don't like my job much. Those guys up top give me a pain in the neck, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what they're talking about half the time. Or the person who says, let me assure you, the men in the front office are on the ball. They'll do right by us. And that took me back to my ex-husband and I used to be involved with a different network marketing company, closely associated and most often associated with soap.
Okay. I'm with you. Yep.
And we got taught often, edify your upline. Edify your upline. And I don't think I really understood what that meant until I was thinking about this today. And, bad mouthing the boss or saying that, yeah, there's some unpleasantness and there's some humanity involved here, but they're going to do right by us and they're good people.
Mhm.
So that's where my brain went with that when I'm thinking, how do I apply this to network marketing? I thought edify your upline, and also something else that I had heard from a friend one time that I found related to network marketing as well. Although she said it had to do with, and I don't even remember well enough to explain it, so it's not important. Point of that was complain up,
Never down.
praise down.
Yeah,
Complain up, praise down.
absolutely.
So, and I do remember sharing that with one of my upline one time, and she absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on into the chapter, let's see, a note, let's see, what was this one? Oh, page 136, well, the top of page 137, where the part where he said, read this 5 times before you go on. Where it
Yeah.
said, a person who thinks his job is important receives mental signals on how to do his job better. And a better job means more promotions, more money, more prestige, more happiness. And as I read that 4 and 5 times, I think it was on about the 4th time, my brain started thinking about the flip side of it. And I wrote down, a person who does not believe his job is important, does not care about improving, and therefore misses the signals on how to improve. As a result, he does not improve and remains stuck at that level.
Yeah. For sure. It's that whole mindset thing. And I
Mhm.
really love 2 paragraphs down about people continue to imitate others throughout life, and they imitate their leaders and supervisors. Their thoughts and actions are influenced by these people. And so if I were to, like, circling back a little bit to where you said, how do I, as the business owner, but be employee A?
Mhm.
So my question to you would be, hey, if you signed a dream teamer, what type of things would they be doing daily that let you know they're your favorite ambassador? They're your running partner. They're like the person absolutely who you never want to lose on your team. And then be that person, because then people you sign will imitate you.
Mhm.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
my thing always was like, who am I to tell people to go silver every month by adding 3 every month if I don't? Which is why for over 9 years straight, I never added less than 3. And to give you an idea about the imitation and whether it works, I told Rob last month, so May, for the first time since I started my business, this many people were added to my team. Because it's never been less than 3, because even if nobody else was working, I always have added at least 3. And so for 3 months in a row, I didn't add 3. And that 90-day sales cycle, by the end, nobody on my team added anybody. That's
Mhm.
never, ever, I've never had a goose egg across the board since the day I started this business. And this is exactly it. They are going to, even though they're not going to say it, it just happens,
Mhm.
And so for you, I would say, be the perfect ambassador that you would want on your team, so that when you do sign your dream teamer and they're imitating you, they naturally become perfect, because they're going to do what you're doing because you're leading by example.
Yes. Yes. Well, I made a note at the bottom of that page. Well, I underlined the part, the way we think toward our jobs determines how our subordinates think toward their jobs, along with that imitation. And below that, I wrote downline, we'll do what you model.
Yeah.
And therefore, what I also got out of that is there's two layers to consistency. There's the consistency that gets it going in the first place, but then your consistency then that gets modeled by the
Mhm.
people coming behind you,
Correct. Yeah.
which further
And it
perpetuates
just
the
keeps
motion.
correct.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Um, so I did pull some good kernels out of this still. Page 138, think enthusiastically, build in yourself an optimistic, progressive glow, a feeling that this is great and I'm 100% for it. Others will catch the enthusiasm you generate and you'll get first class performance. And I see that applying at, like you talked about in the imitation and how the people we recruit are going to follow what we model.
Mhm.
Um, always show a positive attitude toward your job, which goes back to the complain up, praise down, so that your subordinates pick up the right thinking. As you approach your job each day, ask yourself, am I worthy in every respect of being imitated? So these were kernels that I underlined. Then it moves into the next section about give yourself a pep talk several times a day. And we've talked about that a lot with the affirmations. But I liked, let's see, somewhere. Oh, he talked about the guy, okay, on page 140. The guy who went and sat in a vacant car and would give himself a pep talk until it became natural enough that he didn't have to
Mhm.
sit in the car to do it anymore, and he could just bring that enthusiasm up more quickly. But his talk to himself was, I'm a good car salesman and I'm going to be the best. I sell good cars and I give good deals. The people I'm phoning need those cars and I'm going to sell them. I rewrote that to, I'm a good Plexus ambassador and I'm going to be a next rank, because right now it's hard for me to tell myself I'm going to be a diamond,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I can tell
Yes.
myself I'm going to re-rank gold. I'm going to be senior gold.
You
That's
could also say, I'm going to have X number of points and
yes,
continue to grow
yes.
your points,
But it goes on. I sell good products that work and I give good service to my customers. So just as a parallel to the
I
car
like
sales
it.
thing. What I did wonder about was how to rewrite that in a way that promotes the business rather than just products. Because that's
Okay.
a shortcoming of, I don't want, not a shortcoming, it's a growth area
It's a
for
growth
me.
area for you. Yeah.
Yes,
So
promoting the business.
let's say this. I'm a great Plexus ambassador and my points are growing every month.
Go on.
I have a great business to offer for anyone looking to increase their income.
Okay.
The people I'm talking to need extra money.
And Is there an and?
Uh-uh. Oh, and they're going to join me in this business. How about that?
Okay. Maybe, and will recognize what I have to offer and join me?
No, because it's not about you,
Okay,
right? You know that whole adage, you could tell the right person, totally screw up your message, and they're still going to join because the products work, the business works, the industry works. It's not about you, right? Like nobody in my upline came to me and was like, hey, I think you'd be a great gold ambassador. This is how we do it. I literally found YouTube video. You know what I'm saying? Like the right business model, the right products found me.
Mhm.
It wouldn't have mattered who brought them to me because that person is not an ambassador or a customer anymore, right? It wouldn't matter who brought them to me. I took
Okay.
this and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what anybody above us has ever done or not done. I still do me, right? So you could sign somebody today that you don't expect anything from. I mean, think of Nicole signing me and I was nonverbal. Do you think it ever occurred to me or anybody to talk to me about the business? For sure not.
Right.
And was I ever posting on Facebook that my husband got fired? For sure not. Right? So there are people out there that you would never, ever expect
Mm-hmm.
to grow underneath you. And I think if you can acknowledge that and know that you just don't know what God has planned and who he's adding to your team
Yeah.
at
Or
all.
what's going on in people's private
Mm-mm.
lives.
No.
Yeah.
Because people are not
That's
posting about their worst case scenario
very
or
true.
their worst. Very seldom are people sharing about the ugly. Like I share, but I am not permitted to share hardships my husband is going through,
True.
right?
Yeah.
That's off limits.
Yeah.
And so it just is. So if you know it's not about you, your whole job is to share with everybody so that the right person who you don't even know why they need it comes aboard. The
Okay.
great thing is now Plexus has so many tools, they don't actually even need you. They've got Plexus Go, they've got Pivotal, they've got trainings every day, they've got work with me's. Like you could sign somebody today, and I'm not suggesting you don't have great customer care, but you don't actually have to do anything except plug them in. Like if that all existed for me back then, I can't imagine.
Right.
You know, as I've mentioned multiple times just on this call, I was making cake pops watching YouTube videos of people who were jewels at the time. So,
Yeah.
but those people aren't going to know about it if you're not talking to them about it.
It's true.
And they're not going to know the opportunity in the business if you're not sharing it. And remember, again, I know better than anybody, it's not about the person's rank who signs you, right? Because within 3 years, 2 years, I had surpassed both people above me,
Mhm.
everybody up until Aaron, passed them
Mhm.
all, right? So again, you don't have to be an emerald to sign rock stars. You just have to tell people about it.
Yeah.
Because if it's meant to be, they're going to do it no matter what rank you are. So just hold on for dear life. I feel like that's what Nicole did for a few years. And finally she was like, can't, I can't. This just isn't fair to anybody because I don't do anything, you know?
Mhm.
So recognize that. Like, you don't have to be this huge, amazing thing, person, leader to sign an amazing person that's going to become an amazing leader. Get over yourself. You tried to make that sentence about yourself, and it's not.
Well, except the purpose of the self-pep talk was to tell himself that he was good at what he did. So I totally hear you.
I see that. I see that. But I think being good at what you did here means, like, for him, it's making the phone call. Like, and nowhere does he talk
Yeah.
about him, except for he
True.
says, I'm a good car salesman. And that's at the beginning. You have that. But
Yeah.
he sells good cars. You have good product and good business. People
Mhm.
need it. And you're going to sell them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna sell them.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to say. I'm going to sign them.
I'm going to sign them.
Here, fixed it. Okay,
You feel good about that?
I do.
Okay.
The other thing I liked and have assigned myself to do is from the bottom of page 140 to the top of 142 to the top of 143, where the guy wrote his own selling himself commercial.
Yeah. I like it. I liked that.
So, and it, on the next page, it breaks down how to do it. So I've got that all underlined to do that. And I have my little list from a couple chapters back where I've already figured out what my assets are. So assets and points of superiority. Don't be shy in describing yourself. Put these points down on paper in your own words. Talk to yourself, be very direct. Then practice your commercial out loud in private at least once a day. So hold me accountable on that so that I'll have, well, and we're not going to do this again until after convention. But anyway. So that was how I reframed the sections of the chapter that I felt weren't speaking to me, partially because they were dated, partially because they're working from a perspective of traditional business. But I just reframed it.
I think you did a brilliant job of reframing it and putting it
Thank you.
into ways that apply to us and what we do.
Thank you. So, and on that last page where he asked, you know, the how am I thinking checklist, and you
Right.
said to replace important person with what would a diamond think?
And I said diamond, but it could be whatever you want.
Oh,
It could
I
be,
agree. I agree.
whatever feels more.
I actually made a note on here, WWJD. What would Jesus do?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, would Jesus be
Yeah.
worried about this?
No. And also, along those thoughts are similar thoughts, as I guide my 13-year-old who is exposed to lots of things, and that he may try to hide from me, that may be on Discord or whatnot. And I often say to him, Jesus actually knows everything that you're typing or saying or listening to. Like, if all of a sudden you looked up and he was in your room, like, would you be ashamed? And if so, let's not do that.
Mhm.
And that he gave you superpowers that only you have, that only you have the potential of exploding. And wouldn't it be awful if you were to pass away and get there and he says, why didn't you use any of that potential I gave you? Why did you play small? Because if you play small, you can't help the most people. So if you're WWJD, like, hey, are you going to be proud when you get there of like, hey, thank you for all of that light you put inside of me so that I could help so many people? Or are you going to be like, Well, I didn't do any of that, but I was really good at that game on my phone. Aren't you proud? Right? Just perspective
Yeah,
for whatever floats somebody's boat, you
Right.
know?
yep. So I think we managed to salvage some good
We got
stuff
something good out of it. We
out
got
of a
something good
chapter
out of
that
it.
we started out. And that's even where I'm very early on in the chapter. Even the part where it was talking about dressing and, looking important because it helps you feel important. Um, or yeah, helps you think important. Even on that very first page where he said how you think determines how you act in turn determines how others react to you. Of course, I don't know, it's the teacher in me, I guess, that it's going to push that to the limits and think about the student who's going to push that to the limits.
Right.
Because I made the note that said, people who act important by throwing their weight around, etc.
Hmm.
There's a line, I
Right.
guess.
There is.
And it's important to know where that line is. But that was kind of where my brain started to go, wait a minute, I'm not sure that I'm vibing with this chapter.
Well, and you saying that, now I see this where I was like, I was struggling with this being so far behind when I'm reading Worthy, but it's right here on page 127 where, self-respect shows through in everything we do, which I do agree. Let's focus our attention now on some specific ways we can increase self-respect. And like
Yeah.
I said, in Worthy right now, I've done the chapter 3 times now on the difference between self-confidence and self-worth. So it kind of takes this kind of self-respect and like explodes it, but
Yeah.
the concept of it is still very much the same,
Mhm.
and having that, you know,
And
self-confidence to
that
walk
that
into
was
a
kind of
room.
my reaction at that point in the chapter was like, I'm not sure I agree with this 100%, but let's see where it's going.
Yes. Yeah.
Then,
I think we're on the same page there.
and also, like I have said, took it on myself to figure out how to reframe this chapter since it wasn't working for me.
Good job, Angie. Anything else you want to add before we stop? And then we pick back up 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks
2
with
weeks.
chapter 7.
Chapter 7. All right.
Yep.
We'll close this out.